Hello, Daisy Cakes. This is Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And this is a Get Ready With Me where I get into drag to film a video later today. And we have Lori, yay, and Lynette and Frank. Thank you guys for joining. And as usual, the question is, what have you been reading this week? I forget when I finished The Family Experiment, my Shove It or Shove It pick. And if you don't know, I was having trouble with suspending my disbelief because I don't think the science fiction portion was that good. I did enjoy the thriller aspect of these different families in this game show, or these different couples being really screwed up, and we get to find out all the weird ways they're screwed up. I think the big problem with that novel, first of all, I'm not the target audience for stories about the need to have children. But even in that subject matter, the premise of the novel was that children are too expensive to have, which that's how it is now. But that prevents people from having children. But even if you do have children, people will sell their children to because they're too expensive, which I don't think happens. I think there's some type of thing called a bond, child-parent bond. Anyway, I don't recommend the book. But what I'm reading right now is I have a hard copy of And the Sky Bled, And the Sky Bled by S. Hattie. And the reason why I have a physical copy is it is an ARC Advanced Reader copy. And I'm so shocked they sent me a physical copy. But the reason I requested, and I never request ARCs, I rarely request ARCs, but I did this time because I was really curious about the publisher, which is called Bindery, which allegedly gives 25% of the proceeds to the author. But if you dig a little bit, it's really not 25%. But it's a new publisher. I was curious about it. It's I don't think the book is that long. But the thing about Bindery is each of their imprints is actually an influencer, like a TikTok or booktube or some type of influencer that this one is a little dragon. Well, you can't see it, but it's Fiverr and Friends, or Fantasy and Friends is the influencer. And so I was really curious about this, because how much power will an influencer have to push a book enough that they can be an imprint, their own publishing imprint? I don't know. We won't know until October, because that's when this book is released. And I really do like the cover. All the books had good covers. The downside is, are these books good? I found the first third of this book really difficult to get into, and I think that has to do with editing. I don't think they had a great editor, and I'll have to be careful about how I describe this, because I do want to do a video on it, mostly about the publishing house, but I have to talk about whether the book is good or not. And so far, I don't think I would recommend this book. First third was really hard to get into. I'm now really into the story, but it took me a while to get there. Maybe the last half will be so incredible that it will make up for the slow start. None of the characters are really very likable, which it's not always a problem, but I think it is in this book. I really wanted, there are three point of view characters. I really wish one of them was likable, But anyway, that's what I'm reading. We have Mooney here. Yay. I read this week's really short comic, which was amazing, and it's horror, romance, and queer. It's called Skin Deep by Flo Woolley. Interesting. I'm reading Cathedral by Raymond Carver. Has nothing to do with churches. Interesting. And not going to read him again as he's too much of a downer. Yeah, yeah. I know a lot of authors like that. And Cool Gamer is here. Yay! Thank you for joining us. I always see Cool Gamer in Lori's, not always, but sometimes in, uh, um, oh gosh, what's her last name? Lisa Daly's live stream. I finished Musicophilia by Oliver Sacks. Is that someone that gets sexual pleasure from music? So it sounds like. Also currently reading Didpada and Atupia book. I don't know those. It was interesting. In one chapter, he looked at a guy who became musically gifted after being struck by lightning. What? That's so interesting. I finished a bunch Spanish short stories this week. Oh, that's interesting. Have heard stories like that. Some people have gotten British accents after accidents. Yeah, I've heard that, and all sorts of sexual pleasure from you. Yeah, well, that's what musicophilia sounds like, right? Okay, let's put on some makeup. I was thinking of doing purple. Everyone loves purple, and I haven't done it in a while. So, but I've been finding doing like a really dark outer thing and just doing the crease as a sharp color works out well. So. I am planning to join a readathon next called Shortly September. It's short stories. There's not any sex in musicophilia. I don't know the Latin, but I'm trying to break down what philia is, because it's usually what it means when you see it at the end of the word, a word. If you need any recommendations, check out your Instagram page. Don't touch it. One chapter was on amusia, about people who do not like music. That was your dad. Short books. Well, it's kind of interesting, because are they talking about short books, or are they talking about novellas? Because there are certain cutoff points on word counts from a novella to a novel, which I think it's 40,000 words. Interesting. Stay awake all night in the readathon. No, that's not how they work. Bibliophilia is a love of. Okay, so I'm wrong. Just means love of. Okay, so let's do some. I just want to start with black. Yeah, I'm thinking of like necrophilia, gerontophilia, that type of thing. Okay. And for really dark purple. So is there anything good people have been watching on TV or streaming or whatever? What do we call it now? Okay. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I've done this before, putting blue under the purple. So I'm going to start with the dark blue. Diving. Oh, hey, Rico. Oh, Stephen Baxter. I'm reading his Silver Hair trilogy right now. I must say he's one of the hardest sci-fi writers I have read in a while. Great. Heard about monks in the Middle Ages who murdered someone over a book. I keep thinking of Name of the Rose. He actually cites scientific papers in physics astronomy in his afterwards. How fascinating. I don't know any science fiction authors that do citations. Been watching videos on people's reaction to the last season of Umbrella Academy. It seems like I'm one of the few people who enjoyed the season. Read Baxter a lot. Love manifold time and manifold space. I liked Umbrella Academy. I will say the best season, I think, was the first season. But I'm kind of a sucker for getting introduced to the world that an author creator has created. Because I generally, and there's some exceptions, but I generally really love like the first book in a trilogy more than the other two books. Okay, now I'm going to go with the purple over the blue to hopefully get a really deep dark. What would we have to do to spawn intelligence in other universes? It's an interesting premise. The Bobaverse. First season was my favorite too, but I've enjoyed all the seasons. Greg Bear praised it to the sky, so I knew it would be good. I haven't read that much Greg Bear. Because I can only think of, is it Blood Music? I've also been to a comic artist that I really admire, and she talked about how she's also a friend with with another, I don't know what you mean, with the other of Funhouse. Loved Greg Bear. He has a lot of really interesting ideas. Eon. Did I read Eon? Oh, that sounds so familiar. People are saying they ruined Five's characters this season. I just can't see that at all. Yeah, me either. That's a weird one. Because Five was like the one we knew least about. Also, I know Umbrella Academy is another singer in the band that you love very much. Oh, thank you, Lori. Remember to like the stream. It's originally a graphic novel. I don't know who the author is. Oh, Greg Bear. Oops. I think many negative views of the show are people grifting on YouTube. Loved Eon too, but some of his other books were duds, I'm afraid. Okay, so we're continuing purple. If you can see the difference, this is just blue, and this is with the purple. Frank, were you the one that was talking about the new Alien movie? Because I do kind of want to see it. I don't know if it's one of those movies I'd go to the theater for, but maybe, because I did see the very, very first Alien. In the theater, and I was under 18 at the time, I think. I must have been, because I went there with my stepmother, took me there. Who I think complained about the nudity of all things. She's a conservative, or was a conservative Southern Baptist. If you know what that is, you know what I went through growing up. So now Eon is Greg Bear's version of Ranma, an asteroid with an infinitude inside of it. Okay, good night, Moon. Thank you for joining us. It's like some asteroid from the future shows up on Earth, except it's kind of a starship. Impossible Creatures is being released next month. Yay! It is under new releases in the children's category on Goodreads. I think I have it as a pre-release, or the pre-order. So, well, I don't look at children's books anymore on Shelve It or Shove It. I mean, I used to do. That's not what I want. used to do children's and young adult, and I haven't done children's in a while. But that doesn't stop me from picking up children's or middle grade. So as some of you may know, I'm writing middle grade, trying to break into the market. But yeah, Lynette, you're the first person that talked about Impossible Creatures to me, which is why I put it on my want to watch list or to be read list. And I've since heard a lot of good things about it. So. Okay, that's the purple, and I want to deepen it with a little black. And the new Flavia de Luce is being released next month. You know, I still need to read the very last, not the very last, well, the very last one before the new release. Because I think I've read them all except for, was it the 9th book? Okay, so that's that. Just read Big Swiss, where the Big Swiss character is named Flavia. Sounds like an old Roman name. It probably is. And I know we keep hearing about a Flavia de Luce series. I think that would be fantastic if they do it right. Of course, the only problem is the first of all, getting a good child actor, which is really hit or miss. And second, filming everything before the child actor can't play the role anymore, because how slow movie making is and how fast kids grow, it doesn't always pan out. Oops, I almost did it again. I need to do the eyeliner before the cut crease. Okay. Flavia, do I just looked it up? Flavia was a popular name in Roman Empire. It means yellow, so it was often given to girls with blonde hair. Interesting. Yeah, Flavia de Luce is about a, I guess you could call it a cozy mystery about a, what was she, like 10 or 11 years old? Very macabre little girl who solves murders. They are so good, so well written. Oh, also, she's a genius in chemistry. And also, it's historical fiction in that it's set in the 50s, like after World War II. Okay. The main character is a child, though it's definitely not a children's book. Don't like YA. Yeah, I was just outlining the video. By the way, the video I'm going to do today is science fiction. And I'll be releasing a science fiction video this week. But anyway, I was having a young adult author on this week's list, or what I'm filming today's list. But it made me think I can never really say I don't like any of one age category or whatever. That's way too broad. But that's not to say that there are some categories where it feels like the ones I do like is an exception. One of whom is, spoiler alert, I'll be talking about Marissa Meyer. Absolutely love those Lunar Chronicle books. I thought they were fantastic. They're brilliant. Fairy tale retellings that just turned the fairy tales on their head and created a really cool dystopian world. But it tricks me into thinking that I like YA. Like I find a YA, really loved it. I get tricked into thinking I liked it. Same thing with Hunger Games. And that's why for so long I had YA in my shelve it or shove it, because I knew there were some I liked. And I kept thinking, oh, I must be a fan of YA because there are some that I like. But Again, it turns out that it's the exception and not the rule. I have a friend staying with me for a few days. She doesn't have any streaming services, so we're watching the newest seasons of Doctor Who and House of the Dragon. Yay! Don't have any streaming services, so don't want them. Don't want to be amused to death. I don't like Betty YA. I don't because I get it for free. Rarely watch it. Or you have one. Okay, Lori. I have too many. I need to cut a few. Luckily, my son pays for most of the streaming services in my house. Disconnected my TV and hope it stays that way. That's very good, Frank. Good for you. Haven't had a TV in at least a decade. Oh my gosh, Lori. Yeah, I definitely cut my cable, which is why I have streaming. But I mean, I was a TV kid growing up, so it's hard for me to break the habit completely. Okay. So I'm going to put this foiled purple over this matte purple. Thought I had. Okay, the cut crease looks a little bit more blue than I thought it was going to look, but that's fine. When I was a kid, we only had 2 channels. Same Frank. I grew up with in a remote area, 2 channels, and one was really fuzzy. I can't mindlessly watch TV. I only turn it on occasionally for certain shows. Watch mostly news channels, but they infuriate me. So not good for my blood pressure. I hear you. The friend who was visiting has her own TV on all day for background noise. You know, Lori, I kind of do that when I work. I usually have YouTube on, but I don't really pay attention to what's on. It's just background noise. Land of the Lakes. Hey, Possum, thank you. I didn't grow up here, Frank. God, I used to watch so much TV growing up. Yeah, I was just thinking of the Flintstones because I saw it on Hulu. They had like the old Flintstones. I didn't realize it was like 7 seasons, but was like 30 episodes a season. There's a lot of episodes of Flintstones on, but I was obsessed with watching that cartoon, even though it was made for adults. There's so many shows like that. Gilligan's Island. Which I thought was the funniest thing in the world. And I tried to watch it as an adult once, and it's so bad. That's definitely a show that time could tell. For every cartoon with Rocky and Bullwinkle. I love that one, Lynette. Hey, Possum. So you on my patio late the other night. Possums? Found a copy of a book of stories from Fracture. I loved Fracture Fairy Tales, which was a segment on Rocky. Yeah. They took Rocky and Bullwinkle off the air because Russian accents or something. Is that true, Frank? Because, oh, you mean recently? It wasn't canceled because of Russian accents. I was going to say, when it was on, it was definitely during the Cold War. Yeah, it was a Fractured Fairy Tales and Was it Mr. Peabody? Who was the time machine guy? Was it just called Mr. Peabody, the dog that they, the scientists made a time machine? Okay. F Troop was taken off because it wasn't PC. I remember watching it, but I don't remember anything about it. I wasn't really big on military shows. I mean, I watched the Gomer Piles, and I'm sure I watched F Troop. Is that? Oh, it's because the Indians, right? Or American Indians. Oh, Underdog. I loved Underdog. No love for Gumby and Pokey when they were into the books, or were they part of another show? Barely remember. Yeah, I barely remember it too. I watched Gumby and Pokey. It wasn't my favorite, but I remember on Sundays it was really the only thing on, so I would watch it. That and Davy and Goliath. Um, okay, and I do want to deepen that somehow. Okay, I think that's what we're going to do for the eyes. Mr. Peabody was a dog and he had a pet boy named Sherman. Oh, surely if you know Mr. Peabody, you know Sherman. The little kid with the glasses. Trying to think of other shows during that time. Loved Bewitched. I Dream of Jeannie. And Green Acres. Anyone remember Green Acres with one of the Gabor sisters, Ava Gabor? Okay, under the eyes. I thought it was so funny. The Ava Gabor character couldn't cook pancakes. That was her shtick. That apparently her husband loved pancakes, and so she would try to make them, and they were always really bad. Yeah, at least in my lifetime, so probably all of our lifetimes, there's really been a change in the perception of men and women, thanks to women's lib and a more enlightened period. But that's what makes it so fascinating. Some of these old shows and old books showing the role of gender. I just saw an old movie recently called Hobson's Choice with Charles Lawton. So it must have been made in like the 40s, but but the whole thing was this Charles Lawton was a widower who made shoes and had three daughters, and the oldest daughter sort of was an old maid at the age of 30, and so didn't think she, or her father didn't think she had any choice but to continue to work for him for free. So she decides to get a husband. Excuse me. And I could only imagine that for the time, she was presented as like a not a feminist, but a strong female character. Yet, in the end, her greatest success was creating a husband she could be subservient to. Not the kind of story you would see nowadays. Okay. Wouldn't mind a pet girl, but she'd have to be over 18. Oh, Frank. Green Acres, yes. She was very funny. The whole idea of that show was funny, but some people tried to live like that for a while. Like Green Acres? I loved Green Acres, especially the side characters, Mr. Haney, Ebb, Hank, Mr. Drucker. Oh, the pig was, yeah, I remember Arnold. He was adorable. Haney was a con artist, yeah. Okay, so I think I'm done with the eyes. I succeeded with the purple. Do I want purple lips? Sure, why not? I know this is crazy, but I really like using eyeliner for a lip liner. I should probably get this in like a dark brown would be a better color than black, but okay. When I think how many shows as a child, I have to wonder how I fitted all the books I read in as well. Yeah, it's curious. There was a back to the country movement in the late 60s, okay, and early 70s, but it was mostly hippie. Yeah, yeah. The communes. I don't think it was because of Green Acres, though. Yeah, communes is a nice idea in theory. It's just a lot of us can't deal living with so many different people in one under one roof. There really wasn't that much TV back then. Now it's 24 hours a day on 500 channels. Nowadays, people have hobby farms. I used to love Saturday morning cartoons. That was my jam. It was the only day TV started early. Most of the commies went out of business when some of the members wouldn't pull their own weight. Yeah. Gosh, and back in the day of Saturday morning cartoons, there would be like when the new season started at night or 8 o'clock at night or whatever, they would have like an introduction of what the new Saturday morning cartoons would be. I mean, most of them are probably really bad because I don't remember any. I mean, there was the Star Trek animation and Land of the Lost, which I loved, but other than that, I don't really remember that many. Okay, so this is purple. I don't know why it's looking reddish. It says purple. Yeah, it's purple. I was going to put gloss on if I could find it. Here it is. Actually, let me put... Actually, I'm just going to... Now I'm going to put on gloss. I didn't like that. Huh. Okay, we're going to go with that. Children nowadays have never seen a test pattern. Loved Saturday morning Fireball XL5 show, but it wasn't a cartoon. It was a puppet sci-fi. Oh yeah, Thunderbirds. Hopefully now it looks a little purple. Oh, brother loved the Thunderbirds, which is also a puppet show. Can never go to bed because there's no test pattern. You can stay up all night and watch however much you want. It's very similar. I don't know Fireball XL5. It just sounded like the Thunderbirds to me. Okay, so we're going to put on some eyelashes. Also growing up, I remember there was always the old faithful Warner Brother cartoons, the Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd. I mean, they were probably made in the 50s, but they were always on reruns. They were like old faithful. But nowadays, I don't know if they're just forgotten. I don't know if people, I guess you would just watch it online. The Roadrunner. I mean, I think a lot of those cartoons back then were actually made for adults. But, or I should say they were universally funny. I thought they were hilarious as kids, but adults could certainly appreciate them. Does anyone remember going to the theater and seeing cartoons at the beginning, like before the major presentation? There was like a Pink Panther cartoon or something. I wonder why they stopped that. Or I guess the question is, how did that ever start? I guess it was a time when they decided that they needed sort of a prequel for people like to get popcorn and to do their business. And I guess those cartoons were replaced by previews. I think there was Sons Called Brains. Loved Bugs and Elmer along with Daffy Duck. Yes, yes, yes. Roadrunner was the best. Pepe Le Pew. Yes. He's probably very sexist now, but Roadrunner was ruined a little for me after I watched a video on YouTube that proved that a coyote could run faster. Oh, I had no idea. I had no idea. Okay, guys, this is the makeup done. I don't know what I was thinking I was going to do today, makeup-wise, because I got a purple wig, but I got all this black and white jewelry and top. And actually, I guess it's a lavender wig. It's an old big old wig. The edges. There we go. Let me zoom out. This wig is too huge for the frame. There we go. Grabbing some gloves and then we're done. They cut out cartoons and other pre-movie shows so they could have more showing. So that makes sense. The pre-shows were non-profitable, but they were so much fun. Top speed of a Coyote is 43 miles per hour. Wow. Top speed of a Roadrunner is 20. Oh, thanks, Frank. Miles per hour, not kilometers per hour. Okay. So yeah, today I will be filming another, I'll be filming actually part 6 of the science fiction. And this week I'll release part 5. There we go. Done. So let me zoom out even more. Bye, Lori. Thank you for staying. Actually, almost to the end, because we're pretty much done. Enjoy your sci-fi videos the most. I think most people do, even though I missed, I screwed up the last one. And I was thinking, after I do this series of fantasy and science fiction, I may go back and start reading some classic sci-fi, because I know a lot of people are interested in that. And I'm kind of interested in revisiting some of the older sci-fi books we talk about. Okay, guys, so this is the final look. I should be back next week. Thank you so much for joining me. And as usual, may all the books you read be blessed.